G'day, I'm Ryan, your Chief Espresso Officer, and today we're going to be looking at the COMANDANTE hand grinder and comparing it to a couple of other grinders which aren't even really in the same ballpark. However, we want to understand what makes the COMANDANTE so great, because this is a world-renowned brand and hand grinder. Everyone raves about it, so we got our hands on one just to check it out. Let's have a look. So let's have a look at some of the grinders that we're going to be comparing the COMANDANTE to today. First up is the Hario coffee mill with a beautiful wooden base. Looks lovely on your shelf. And Hario is a well-known brand. They make a lot of pour-over equipment for filter coffees and obviously these hand grinders as well. Next, we are also looking at the Baccarat Brillante. It's a beautiful travel one with everything neatly tucked up inside so that you can access your handle, the burrs, everything inside. Perfect for travel. And then, of course, the main feature, the COMANDANTE Mark III. We've got our hands on the Mark III. There's a Mark IV now as well. This is regarded as the top of the line hand grinders amongst all of the professional experts around the world. So we're going to ask the question, why is this considered the best hand grinder on the market? And we'll let you know the results. But before we get into it, please, if you liked this video so far and you want to see where it goes, these cost a lot of money to make these videos, so please just give me a like or a subscribe. It costs you nothing, but I really want to keep making these videos for you. So if you enjoyed it, do me a favor, hit like and subscribe. But let's get into checking out these grinders. Now, a quick note on the pricing of all of these. It goes from cheapest through to most expensive, with the Baccarat being about $50 Australian, the Hario being close to $100, and the COMANDANTE close to $400 or $500, depending on which version you get. There's a big jump between the COMANDANTE and the Hario, so we want to know, is it just branding fluff, or did they actually make a superior product that justifies this huge price hike? So let's start with the cheapest of the bunch. I picked this up from a kitchen store in Australia for $50, and it's neat. It's a great little travel one. Everything, it has your little glass chamber here for your bean storage or to capture the grinds in. Up the top, it all locks, unlocks. It's a little bit of a problem here. I find it all just comes apart in the one motion. So probably you don't want to be opening up this over concrete. You might actually drop it and break it. But everything ties together. The little handle just pops out to the side and then you can screw it. It's a little bit of a short handle. It's not the greatest length. I think it's going to require a lot more rotations to grind the same amount of coffee. Inside, I look at everything and it's pretty much made of plastic. That's probably going to be its downfall. The burrs are ceramic. However, everything around it, all the mechanisms, they're all plastic parts, and it does feel a little bit on the cheap side. But that's what you expect from a kitchen store grinder. So you can hear it's got a bit of wiggle and rattle, and it does sound very plasticky. Every little part component seems to be made up of plastic. So we'll see how that performs anyway. Okay, now let's put it to the test. We're gonna grind the coffee in here, measure it, grind it, and then run it through our Synesso machine at an espresso grind level to see if it really holds up to be used. Putting it through an espresso machine is a bit unfair because obviously these grinders aren't designed to do that. However, it gives us the best representation of how accurate and consistent the burrs are, so that when the grinds come through, they should evenly be extracted. However, I know that the Synesso is really fussy, and so any little slight variation in the grind is going to come through and show us, which is why I'm using this, not because this is what you would actually do, just to show us which of the burrs are more consistent. So let's start with this. This also, I need to point out, only has a tiny amount of different size grinds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to be exact. I'm just gonna have to set it on the finest and hope that that's fine enough to run through the machine, but who knows. There's all these little compartments in here. There is a little space right at the top, no idea what that's for. I'm gonna use this big part here to weigh the beans, and hopefully that's what it's for. Normal dose is 22.5, so I'm gonna put in 22.5. There we go. Now let's see how long it takes to grind and how good it is. And yeah, that does fit on. Okay. Yes, doesn't really go much more than 22.5 anyway. Locking it, not as easy as you might think. Start your timers. Let's see how long it takes to grind 22.5. The action is great. It's really hard to move around. Like, it's taking a lot of effort to move the conical burrs around. The size of this is really making it difficult. Pretty sore now, and I'm not even halfway. It's taken a long time. I would not want to be doing this every morning for a couple of coffees for everyone. This is fun. I mean, I can already see how coarse that grind is. There's huge chunks in there that are almost as big as salt flake. It's all over the place. You can do it. Grind, Forrest, grind. Oh, I feel like I've got a good 10 or more grams still to go. Hey, we're done. Whew. Let's see how much this weighed now, because I'm left with a certain amount. See what the grind retention is. No grind retention, that is perfect. You want to see it's 22.5. That's great, that's one excellent factor. It's definitely not going to be fine enough for your espresso. It's pretty coarse anyway, so it doesn't go fine enough for espresso, which is fine because you're mostly going to make filters, pour overs. But look at the inconsistency of the grinds there. There's like some big chunks and there's some little chunks and there's little bits of powder in the bottom. It's a fair range of different grinds, which is going to impact the flavor and the quality of your extraction. But let's have a look at it now. I'm going to run it through a naked portafilter just to see where the extractions might be going wrong. Whoa, that's ugly. Okay, so we're spraying the camera lens. Sorry guys. That really did not extract well at all. You could see from the violence that was going on in the extraction that areas were not actually resisting the water, and so it wasn't allowed to pick up the oils. Having a look, it looks like we really botched that up. However, the experiment was a success. Now let's have a look at the Hario hand mill. It's probably the beautiful one of the entire bunch, but there's a few downsides to it that I can see straight off the bat. One, that's the chamber that you have to put your coffee beans into. And so unless you've got a funnel at home that you can use that easily, it's going to be really difficult. You're going to have to place in one bean at a time, which I think is a bit unfortunate. Should be able to remove that whole thing, put all your coffee beans in, and then seal it back up again. The other thing that's really noticeable is how clunky, grindy, everything wobbles. There are no indicators at all as to what my grind size is. I don't even know where to begin. I just can make an adjustment here and hope for the best. I don't even know what this is at. Like, I'm gonna try to find a fine grind for espresso, but who even knows? There's just nothing supporting you at all in making that grind size. Let's give it a shot. So I think I've discovered the perfect way to load your Hario hand mill. Hey! Yeah! Yeah! See? 3 out of 7 ain't bad. Now we're ready to grind. It jumps around a lot, so it's a harder grinder to hold. The length of the handle means I don't have to do as many rotations, and I can choose different style of how I hold the handle. Much quicker. So much quicker, and we're done. Overall, compared to the Brillante, a lot more consistent. So you can see they're a lot more consistent. There's a few inconsistent granules. Most of it is actually perfectly ground. Again, very difficult to transfer in here without spilling any of the grinds. Still pretty rough. I think it's a little bit better, at least it did join up. I couldn't get it as fine as we do for our coffees here on Espresso, so I think this grinder doesn't go as fine, and maybe none of them do. That was definitely a slightly better extraction, however, long way from where we'd want it to be. And now for the main event. Now we're going to look at the Comandante. It's a significant step up, not only in price, because obviously we're looking at about $400, which is 4 times as much as the Hario, but it also feels stronger, sturdier. There's stainless steel parts, there's a polymer glass, which apparently is unbreakable. I don't want to test it. The burrs are made with nitrogen steel. No idea what that means. Somehow they use it and it makes it stronger. There's a beautiful magnetic connector. So this just sits on there and is magnetically kept so it doesn't fall off. Full stainless steel crank arm and the axle inside here. Everything is stainless steel, super solid. Listen to this. Nothing. Silence. Listen to this. And I don't even know if this will spin. Hey, it's pretty silent too, but you can still see there's some resistance. This is just beautifully manufactured, German manufacturing, some of the best in the world. One of the important things that I want to tell you about with the Comandante is that this burr adjustment, so the adjuster that sets your grind size, is universal. So that means that every product or every Comandante that you purchase, whether it be Mark 1, 2, 3, 4, or however many in the future, are all gonna have this exact same setup. So it doesn't matter whether you're here using a friend in another country, you can go, I know from my brewer that this size is 12 clicks from the start, and that's what I'm gonna use on any hand grinder by Comandante. Also, underneath you can see a nice little indicator to show you that your grind size is finer this way and coarser that way. It says the grinder block BB7 high alloy nitrogen stainless steel. Sounds amazing. I don't know what that means, but it's a nitro blade. And there's lots of information on their website. So you can go and look up exactly what the best grind setting is for a particular brewer. There's a forum there where everyone puts in their comments and allows you to understand your Comandante much more in depth. Everything about this has been thoughtfully, carefully crafted, and I just think this is going to be our closest to getting a perfect espresso. Let's give it a try. Now, one other very special important feature of the Comandante is the glass chamber. Not only is it unbreakable apparently, but it fits in every mainstream coffee brewer device. So the portafilter, perfect fit of the 58mm commercial portafilter. An AeroPress, perfect fit. A stovetop mocha pot, perfect fit. Even the Flair Signature Pro goes inside there. It's not a perfect fit, but it definitely fits in there. It's gonna make your life easier. Obviously, it also fits into itself, making it perfect for measuring and dosing your beans. So, let's see how it holds up. Now, to adjust the grind, you need to take the base off, hold the handle so it doesn't spin, push that in, and you can actually hear it clicking. And that's the adjustment. This has about 30, I think that comes with it, standard, and there's an extra thing called a red click, which allows you to get another 60 out of it. They say espresso starts between 7 clicks from the start to 12. So we're gonna try it on 7 and see if that's fine enough. But it definitely tells me that it's gonna get as fine as we need it to. So much easier to spin. It doesn't even feel like I'm doing that much, and there's already quite a bit coming out. You can definitely notice the difference between both, or all of the arms, but especially between the Brillante. Don't even have to put it down. Just gonna test this grind. Oh, that is fine. That is powder fine. This is definitely gonna get closer. It's too fine for the espresso machine that I wanna use it on, so I'm gonna grind it a little bit coarser. And we'll start again. Right, so I've adjusted it now to sit at 10. So we're gonna see if this works. You definitely can go finer enough to do Turkish coffee almost. Let's see how it works out on 10. And if that is a good size, then you know when you buy a Comandante, you can just set it to 10 and then you'll be able to make it on your Senesso. Let's go. Smooth sailing. Love to see how long this takes, but it doesn't give me much resistance whatsoever. The blades are extremely efficient. When you get to the end, you really notice, because there's only one way for the beans to go, and that's into those chambers. It does not have any other escape. And you know once it's finished grinding, there's no more beans left. And you can really notice it because you won't hear any sound. You're getting close, you feel it lightening up. Now we know. Completely done. Look at the grinds. Those grinds there, perfectly consistent. There isn't a grind size out of place there. That, and it just feels the perfect consistency for our Senesso. Wow. That's amazing. Look at the difference. It's obvious. This coffee's a little bit on the fresh side, so the extraction was a little bit quick. However, the pour was perfect. So from that perspective, we could see the clear difference between the Comandante's grind size and consistency to all of the other hand grinders that we tested. And even though we could probably go a little bit finer to get that extraction a little bit longer, we're not going to do that now because you already know from watching this video why the Comandante is a league of its own. So that really sets the Comandante apart, because you can use this for espresso, probably Turkish, everything right up to a plunger, French press cold brew. Makes it a very versatile hand grinder. So what did we learn today? Well, we learned that consistency of the grind really makes a difference. Being able to get down as fine as you can really makes a difference if you're making it for espresso. However, it's not a fair fight. I said this from the outset. These two are not similar. We aren't comparing these two to each other. We're really wanting to know, is the Comandante worth the massive price point? And would it be worth for you as the viewer going out and investing in one of these? Now, if you can't afford it, that's fine. Any grinder is going to be better than pre-ground. So even if you're using this on a plunger, a filter, stovetop, I wouldn't recommend espresso, obviously. But any other type where you can get away with a bit of the variation in the grind size and you don't need it to go down as fine, it's still going to be massively better than a pre-ground. And for $100 or $50 even, you can get a small investment and get much better coffee as a result. However, if you have the right budget, go and get yourself a Comandante, because these are clearly worth it. You've seen it here today in the experiments, but I'm a convert now because I didn't think that these would be that much better than any other grinder that I've used. There's plenty more. There's Rhino have one, Time More have one. I haven't got my hands on one of those yet. Out of the ones that I tried, I wasn't sure whether the Comandante was that much better. However, now having seen it in action, having seen it being able to put to test on the Synesso machine, I definitely can concur that this is a fantastic product, well worth its money. And I want to make it really clear that I am in no way affiliated with Comandante, Hario, or even Baccarat. They didn't give me any of these products to review. I bought them with my own money and I review them on my own with my own opinions. So if you are Comandante watching, maybe give me a call, because we might be able to hook up in the future and do something together. But if you liked this review and you want to learn more and want to see more of these videos, please give me a like or subscribe to the channel. Every little bit helps. I'm Ride, your Chief Espresso Officer. Enjoy your brew.